In this video, I want to show you how to use the 5 controls on a dirt bike. What's up guys, I'm Dakota Freeman and welcome to the Rad Adventure Dude channel. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, make sure you hit that and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future dirt bike riding tips. So this video is going to be super important for any dirt bike beginner out there because we're about to learn how to use all 5 of the dirt bike controls. So when we're learning about the 5 controls on our dirt bikes, what are they? Well, we have a throttle, a clutch, a front brake, a rear brake, and a gear shifter. These 5 controls are what we're going to use on the dirt bike to have the most control possible. So it's going to be very important that we learn all 5 of these controls and really instill them into our riding to become the best rider we can possibly be. The first control I want to go over is going to be our throttle. The throttle is going to be located on the right side of the handlebars under the grip. So as we turn that throttle, it's actually going to increase the power we have on the dirt bike, making us go faster and have more acceleration. However, the throttle can be very touchy, especially in lower gears where it has the most acceleration. So we really want to make sure that we are a little cautious when we use the throttle, especially in these lower gears when we're beginning. When we use the throttle, it's not that we have to turn it all the way on when we're using it. We have a full turn throttle for a reason, so you can apply whatever amount of throttle that you need to. So whenever you're first starting out and learning how to ride, you're going to want to develop a good sense of how much power is coming out of the bike in each gear when you have the throttle on. Because when you're in a lower gear and you put the throttle on, it's going to be very torquey and almost want to pick the front wheel up and do a wheelie. Where when you get into the higher gears, they're going to be faster and have more top speed, but whenever you put more throttle on, they're not going to be as aggressive and wanting to pick the front end up as much as they just want to go and get the bike moving faster. So it's good to know this whenever we're learning about our throttle, how the different gears affect the throttle. So learn that over time, as the throttle is going to be huge to making us go faster on our dirt bikes. The second control I want to cover is going to be our clutch. The clutch is how we actually get the bike going into motion and switch in between all of our gears. The clutch, especially if you're new to dirt bike riding, is going to be very difficult to learn the first couple of times. Don't get frustrated with it because it's very important that we master our clutch, and it seems difficult at the beginning, but soon you won't even have to think about this, and it's going to be so instilled into your riding that you're going to be able to let the clutch out fast just like a pro and really get moving on the dirt bike. So when we're using the clutch, we're going to use the clutch, the gear shifter, and the throttle. The most important is going to be the order of operations here, which is going to be to always make sure you have the throttle off, and then you pull in the clutch, and then you shift your gears with the gear shifter. Once you do that, you can now start to let the clutch out until you feel a point of motion on the dirt bike. When you feel the bike start moving forward, at this point you're going to just apply a little bit of throttle, not very much at all, and continue easing the clutch out until it's all the way released and your bike is going into motion. Doing this is going to be difficult, I know, the first couple of times. I promise you, as long as you focus on letting the clutch out very slowly until it's completely released, and at the moment that the bike starts rolling forward, you just apply a little bit of throttle. That combination of the clutch and the throttle is going to get your bike going into motion, and that's how you start riding on your dirt bike. The clutch is also going to be very important to our riding because when we are riding, we're always using the clutch to make sure that we can get the RPMs up where they need to be. So whenever we're in a corner, we may be using our clutch in this kind of way to kind of tap the clutch and get the RPMs up. Or if you're coming into an obstacle and you're kind of getting bucked around, if you want to kind of pull the clutch in and be able to slow the bike down, pulling the clutch in will make sure that the bike doesn't stall out on you. So if you ever feel that you are going to stall coming out of a corner or going through a rough obstacle, pull the clutch in, as this is going to free up the motor and make sure that you at least don't stall the dirt bike in the middle of this situation. So as you can see, it's very important to our riding that we have to know how to use a clutch and be able to use it with the gear shifter and our throttle. So just practice this over time, and it's really going to make you a much faster and better dirt bike rider. Since we're already talking about the gears here, we'll go ahead and cover our gear shifter as well. The gear shifter is located by the left foot, and that is going to be how we shift up and down through our gears. So if your bike does have a clutch, it's probably going to be 1 down, 4 up, 5 up, and then neutral will be found in between first and second gear. And if you do not have a clutch, then you're probably going to be all the way down into neutral, and then as however many gears your bike has, 1, 2, or 3, all the way up. The gear shifter is huge to making sure that we can get in the right gear at the right time. Using the gear shifter to get into higher gears is also how you're going to go faster on your dirt bike. And then if you come into an obstacle or a corner that we need more acceleration, we want to get down into the lower gears where we have more acceleration out of these gears. So knowing and getting used to using your gear shifter and being able to go down to get more acceleration, shifting up to go faster, and then coming into a corner and being able to shift back down to get more acceleration is really how we're going to have to use the gear shifter to optimize the power out of the dirt bike. So getting used to using the clutch and the throttle and the gear shifter all combined together is going to be huge to making you the best rider you can possibly be. Is this video helping you learn how to use your controls? Well, make sure you like this video and drop some comments down below, and feel free to ask me any other questions that you have. So now that we've covered the throttle, the clutch, and the gear shifter, we know how to get the bike going into motion. It's very important that we learn how to use our brakes to stop the bike. So we're actually going to want to use the front brake more than we use the back brake. The front brake is really the most important brake to stopping the bike the fastest. However, when you do use it, make sure that you always have your front wheel pointed straight, because any little turn on the wheel with aggressive amount of front brake being used will lock up the front wheel. So just to avoid that, make sure that we're always using the front brake when the wheel is straight. If you're coming into a corner and you start to turn the wheel, let off the front brake and focus more on your rear brake. This is really going to save you from hitting the ground from locking up the front wheel. The front brake is going to be located on the handlebars. It's going to be the lever right next to the throttle, and that's what we're going to pull in to use our front brake. When we're using our front brake like this, it's good to know that it's going to want to push our weight forward as we get on the brakes. So you want to anticipate this and just use your upper body to kind of brace for that, to make sure that you can keep your weight further back when you are using your brakes. This is because when we use our brakes, it kind of wants to pick the back end of the dirt bike up, and whenever we get our weight back on the bike as we're using the brakes, it just makes sure that we keep the back end on the ground and don't do any accidental stoppies. We're going to be using the front brake so much when we're out on the tracks and trails that it's so important that we master how to use our front brake. So being able to practice this and really instill it into your riding to where you no longer have to think about it, and you naturally know that when you're putting on your brakes that you're bracing for it shifting your weight forward, is really going to make you the best rider possible. So now that we've covered the front brake, how do we use the rear brake? The rear brake is going to be located by our right foot, and we're simply going to press down on that lever. As we press down on the rear brake, it's going to engage the back brake, and that's going to stop the wheel and really help slow down the dirt bike. The reason we focus more on the front brake is because it has the most weight and traction on the front wheel and can actually stop the bike faster than the back wheel. But whenever we're doing this, it's good to know that when we're using our rear brake, that it's going to help slide the dirt bike. So if you're coming into a corner, you can actually use your rear brake to kind of slide the back end, and that can help you get your front end to dive into the corner and really be able to get around a sharp corner much faster. Also, whenever we're coming down steep hills or anything like that, being able to drag our rear brake is going to be a great way to keep our speed slower whenever we're going down these big hills. And sometimes we're not always wanting to lock on that front brake whenever we're going down a hill like that, and that's why it's good to be able to use our rear brake just to help slow the dirt bike down. Other things we can do with the rear brake are going to be like if we're hitting a jump and we come off and the front end is too high, well, you can pull in the clutch and hit the rear brake, and that will actually bring the front end back down. And then if it gets too low, you can actually just let off the clutch and apply some throttle, and that's going to pick the front end back up to where you can land exactly how you need to. So as you can see, when we're using all these controls like this, it's huge to actually mastering our riding. And now we're really focusing on using these controls in a way to where we can actually get the bike to do things when we need it to. It's very important that we learn all 5 of these controls and master them. Instill them into your riding to where you no longer have to think about it and already know when something's going wrong exactly what control you need to get to and how to fix that situation. I'm so proud of you for mastering all 5 of your controls and really taking the time to become a better dirt bike rider. If you're looking for more riding tips, well, I'm always here. I've made a full dirt bike riding course over on my website that'll walk you through being a complete beginner and take you to an advanced rider mastering the tracks and trails. So make sure you check it out, and also you can find all my rad merch over there as well. If this video helped you with your controls on your dirt bike, well, make sure you like this video and drop some comments down below and ask me any other questions that you have. Make sure you hit the subscribe button that's right here and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future dirt bike riding tips. After that, you can watch my next video on how to shift your gears right here. Make sure you click on that, stay rad, and I'll see you guys over there.